about to hear from the Democrats is not true.
The Republican partisan spending bill that they introduced is not clean.
Well, first of all, let's be clear. It's not a clean bill, it's a dirty bill. Well, that's all a lie. It's not a clean continuing resolution.
Listen, I like Hakeem Jeffries. I think he's got an amazing future. He's got better fights than this. This is a clean CR. What does that mean, by the way? Continuing resolution. Instead of passing a real budget like they should, this just says, hey, remember the last one? Let's just continue at those levels again, all right? Now, that may mean that certain people who should get less won't, certain people who need more won't, but a clean CR means that this is an extension from the last set of, in this case, Biden's spending levels. Okay? That's what a clean CR is. This is a clean CR. Wait a minute, Cuomo disagrees with Jeffries. Jeffries must be right. Don't take my word. Take the word from the Nonpartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. They say this is about as clean a CR as you could get. Okay? Again, it's a continuation of a March stopgap measure. All right? Essentially, a continuation of spending levels from Biden, absent about $13 billion. But when you look at it as a function of the pie, it's literally a rounding error. I don't like that. It's a lot of money, but it's a rounding error. Again, don't take my word for it. How about taking this guy's word?
Allowing Donald Trump to take even much more power via a government shutdown is a far worse option. I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country to minimize the harms to the American people. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down.
And that CR he voted for is the same as this one. So what changed? AOC eyeing his Senate seat. Oh,
you heard it there, ladies and gentlemen. And I said this in the video from yesterday. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely go and check it out. But Chuck and Hakeem are afraid of losing their seats. They're in some hot water, especially Chuck Schumer. Okay? AOC is breathing down his neck. She is absolutely breathing down his neck. I think I saw a poll that showed that she could actually beat him. I can't remember. Maybe. Don't quote me on that, all right? But I feel like I have seen that pop up somewhere. I want to see if I can find that really quick, because that is quite interesting stuff. No, I'm not seeing it, and I'm not about to search for it right now. But anyway, she is absolutely breathing down this man's neck, and he is scared. He is absolutely scared. So I think that is part of the reason why you're seeing some of these theatrics, because as you just heard there, this continued resolution is just that, continuing on what's already been done. It's basically the same thing with very, very minute cuts. In the grand scheme of things, obviously $13 billion is a whole lot of money. You know, if somebody want to hand over $13 billion to me, I'll take it. Okay? But in the grand scheme of things, it's not a whole lot of money in terms of the entire budget. So it's basically all the same. So what's stopping you, Chuck? What's stopping you, Hakeem? Well, they realize, oh crap, we're losing the party to the radicals. We got to do something. And so this is what you get. Right? And that's the problem with the Democrat Party. They've relied on theatrics for so long that now they're in trouble. Now they're caught between a rock and a hard place, because, yeah, you got your theatrics off. Yeah, you got your, ooh, no, we're not voting for this because we want health care for everyone. But not illegals, though. But just for everyone. As a matter of fact, here's a clip of Sharif Thanedar. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Basically saying the exact same thing that Maxine Waters said. Check it out.
Returning back to Detroit this morning after the Republicans failed to show up in the U.S. House. We got to make sure Americans have the health care that they need. And if that means we got to shut this government down, so be it.
We got to make sure that Americans have the health care that they need. Okay. We do. It's very expensive. We need to do something about that. That's for darn sure. Okay, the healthcare system in general is just overly expensive, in my humble opinion. But we'll save that conversation for another day. So, yeah, you got your theatrics off, Chuck Schumer, but now you just handed the keys completely and utterly over to the Trump administration. And I think Trump plans and intends on fully taking advantage of it.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. And you all know Russell Vought. He's become very popular recently because he can trim the budget to a level that you couldn't do any other way. So they're taking a risk by having a shutdown because of the shutdown, we can do things medically and other ways, including benefits. We can cut large numbers of people out. We don't want to do that, but we don't want fraud, waste, and abuse. And, we're cutting that. We can do.
Yeah. So you just heard him there. Hey, yo, if we find any fraud, waste, or abuse, we can just cut it without y'all being able to do anything about it. We can cut massive numbers off of this budget. And there's not a darn thing that you, Chuck, Hakeem, Nancy Pelosi, any of y'all can do about it. So, of course, Chuck Schumer is panicking. He's absolutely panicking.
The first full day of Donald Trump's government shutdown. Donald Trump and Republicans have barreled us into a shutdown because they refuse to protect Americans' health care. It's clear that the way out of this shutdown is to sit down and negotiate with Democrats to address the looming health care crisis that faces tens of millions of American families. Democrats want to avert this crisis, but Republicans tried to bully us, and it's clear they can't. They don't have the votes. The way out of this is for Republicans to finally roll up their sleeves and get to work. Republicans need to get serious and start actually addressing the looming crisis and reopen the government. Now, why has all of this happened? Why are we here on October 1st? Because Republicans have tried to stick us with a partisan CR that fails to protect Americans' health care and does nothing to fix the health care mess that they created. It has now failed twice to get enough votes in this chamber. So Republicans need to negotiate with us. And Speaker Johnson's got to get his people here. If anyone wanted evidence as to who wanted this shutdown, just look at the fact that Johnson does not even have the House in session. When Democrats...
Because Republicans have all of the leverage. That is why, Chuck. That is why. And he knows it. Republicans have all the leverage. We have the House, we have the Senate, and we have the presidency. Now, of course, we got some rhinos in there, so the margins aren't what we would like them to be. Okay, we got the Mitch McConnells, the Susan Collins, the Lisa Murkowskis, the John Thunes, right? The John Cornyn's still in there, amongst others. So our margins aren't aren't the greatest, but we still have all three. So we've got the leverage, Chuck. So yeah, of course, you want to shut it down? All right, fine. Have it your way. Wait, whose slogan is that? I feel like that's some company's slogan. But anyway, this is what Uncle Trump posted. I want you guys to check this out. Okay. He said Republicans must use this opportunity of Democrat forced closure to clear out dead wood, waste, and fraud. Billions of dollars can be saved. Make America great again. Yeah, I agree with him. Take a sledgehammer to the federal government budget. Axe it. Okay. I showed you guys a video yesterday. Where was it? I thought I had it pulled up. Yeah, here it is. I showed you guys a video yesterday, and I'll play part of it again from Peter. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Stonge. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. But he perfectly explained how a lot of federal employees could be getting fired pretty soon.
Congratulations, America. The federal government is shut down. That was easy. You probably didn't notice unless you're cashing a check at taxpayer expense like the 740,000 federal workers who are now furloughed, or the army of millions of tax-funded left-wing NGOs that are now cut off. If you're just tuning in, the federal budget is voted 1 year at a time, and it ran out at midnight. Meaning, in theory, the government is not allowed to spend any more money, it is shut down. Of course, the vast majority of government, at least 70%, is exempt and keeps grinding. That includes so-called mandatory spending like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, as well as essential functions like the military, air traffic, courts, and the Department of Justice. The Federal Reserve sadly keeps going since it literally prints its budget in the basement. Now, historically, politicians fear shutdown since our rogue federal oligarchy tries to make them as painful as possible, so rather than cutting, say, welfare to illegals, or gender transitions for federal prisoners, they cut school lunches, firefighters, and shutter national parks, called the Washington Monument Strategy, or Firemen First. But given Donald Trump alone gets to decide what's essential, he can keep the stuff voters want and toss the rest, raising the tantalizing prospect that a shutdown could actually be popular, in which case it could go on for a long time. Now that's fun because shuttering a third of the federal government would instantly balance the budget. It would lay off roughly 740,000 federal workers, in addition to the millions of defunded NGOs. Now, combined with the DOGE layoffs, that would mean more than half of federal workers outside the Post Office and Department of War would be permanently fired. The key is how long does the shutdown last? Because there's a magic number, 61 days, where Trump can permanently lay off those federal workers. This is because you have to give federal workers 60 days notice of termination, called reduction in force. So if you're still at shutdown at day 61, you complete the termination. They are gone. On the other
Boom. We need 61 days of the government being closed in order to be able to fire almost 800,000 federal workers. The current record is 35 days, I believe. So not even close to the 61 that we need to get to, but I'm hoping that we get to it. I doubt that we will, if I'm being completely honest. If I'm just being totally honest, I know it's not what you guys want to hear, but hey, listen, I'm not here to always tell you exactly what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. And what you need to hear is that we got too many rhinos in our party still. And that's the problem. If we had a party full of the people that we need, America first, right? Patriots, the Byron Donald types, the Uncle Trump types, right? We'd have no problem getting to 61 days, because they'd look back at the Democrats like, don't know what to tell you, buddy. Give us about another 58 days, okay? We'll come back and holler at you, all right? But unfortunately, we have the Lisa Murkowskis, the Susan Collins, the John Thunes, amongst others. The typical suspects, right? Not literal suspects, but the typical people, the typical folks that will eventually cave and pull some other Republicans with them, some other rhinos with them, and I'm sure this will end early. Okay, well, before the 61 days, I'll say that. Maybe not early, but it'll definitely end before the 61 days. But Trump is already making moves, man. The Trump administration has just canceled $8 billion in the Green New Scam funding, per OMB Director Vaught. Take full advantage of the Schumer shutdown. States losing funding: California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Vermont, Washington. Yeah. Cut the funding. Cut it all. Cut every bit of it. They wanted a shutdown, so now they will get it. Okay? Now they will get it. This is what they wanted. So now all of your little pet projects, all of your NGOs, that you were funneling money through, yeah, they all shut down. Every one of them. Okay? All of the federal workers that were working against America, all of them fired. Now, I'm sure there are some great people that work in the federal government that don't deserve to be fired, but, it is what it is. Anyway, y'all get in the comments and let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Do you wish that it goes 61 days? Let me know. And do you think it will? Let me know. All right? Y'all stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.